All right, kia ora everyone. It's Nathan Rose from Capgemini here in beautiful Auckland, New Zealand. Today, I'm going to take you through the step-by-step guide to the custom connector workarounds for low-code PowerFX plugins that I posted about on LinkedIn last night. So last night, I gave you a step-by-step guide to connecting to custom connectors that you might want to use with your low-code PowerFX plugins, as well as a workaround for deploying plugins with custom connectors between environments. And it's a detailed set of instructions, so I thought it might be a good idea to just actually do a video and show you how to do this so that there's no ambiguity around it. So let's go ahead and get started. Before I do get started, I want to give a huge shout out to Divya and Luke and the team at Microsoft. Really appreciate you all helping me troubleshoot this and coming up with some of these instructions. So yeah, really appreciate it. All right, let me share my screen. We've got a lot to cover. Okay, so first things first, what we want to do is we want to deploy our solution with our custom connector from my source environment into my target environment. So I've created this clean environment called Nathan Deploy. And so you can see here in my solution, all I've got is a custom connector. So let's go ahead and do that. So I'm going to swap over to my Nathan Deploy environment. And let's go ahead and import this solution. My solution here. And let's go ahead and import this. And I'll come back and talk to you guys in a second when this is done. Okay, our solution has imported. Let's just go ahead and do a quick publish all. All right, so I've imported the custom connector and I've published. So let's go ahead and get into setting up the connection and the connection reference. So in terms of the connection, what you want to do is in the maker portal, so your make.powerapps.com, in the environment where you'll be using the custom connector, you're going to come over here to connections in the left-hand navigation, and let's go ahead and set up a connection. There it is. And I'm going to click plus. So let's go and create a connection. And it's going to ask me for the API key. So let me just go ahead and chuck that in. And this is going to create a connection to my custom connector. So this is just a currency converter. Cool. So we've imported our custom connector into the target environment. We've set up a connection. Now what we need to do is set up a connection reference. Now this is something that we traditionally would handle within a solution. However, what we need to do in this case is we actually need to go into the default solution to set this up. If we import the connection reference with, say, our currency plugin solution here, what will happen is we're just going to randomly get errors when we trigger the plugin calling this connection about a missing system user. So the way around this is to come into the default solution and create a connection reference here. Now, what you want to do is in your target environment, make sure that you give the connection reference name the exact matching name that you've got it in your source org, and we'll get into that once we go to import the plugin. But basically, it saves you a lot of hassle when importing the plugin and using the workaround that I'm going to show you in a few minutes. So we're going to click New, come over here and create a connection reference. And I'm just going to paste in. So this is the name that I've given it in my source org. I'm going to choose my connector, come down here to find my custom connector. There we go. And it's already chosen the connection that we just set up a few minutes ago. Now it's going to let me create it. So let's go ahead and do that. All right, I've created my connection. So I'm just going to go ahead and do a quick publish all. All right, so I've imported my custom connector, I've set up my connection, and I've set up my connection reference. So this environment is now ready to receive the plugin from the source. Before I do that, let me just go back to my source environment, and I want to get into the Dataverse Accelerator app and just quickly show you the plugin that we're going to be importing. So this is my currency conversion plugin. So it's got 3 input parameters. It has a base currency, a target currency, and an amount. And then it spits out a converted amount based on the API that it's calling. That's the custom connector. So this is my PowerFX expression here, my output variable, the connection that I'm calling, and my input variables. So this is my plugin. Let's just give it a quick test. So I'll just show you the plugin in action. So we'll put in our base currency of New Zealand dollars, put in our target currency of US dollars, let's say $100. Since I was just in the States, let's see how bad the Amex bill is going to be when I get that in a few days. Ooh. Now this is the error message that you will get randomly if you do not set up the plugin with the steps that I just showed you. Now, I should not be getting this. I'm not entirely sure why. I'll just do a quick refresh. This did sort it out yesterday. Again, mileage may vary a little bit. Let's just test it again. Run. Okay, run it again. Okay, so we can see that 100 New Zealand dollars is 60 US dollars, which is why I am going to have a massive Amex bill in a few weeks, courtesy of visiting my parents in the States. All right, so that's what the plugin's going to be doing. Now, in order to migrate this between environments, we're going to do that in the solution. So let's come back here to my solution. And the first thing I'm going to do is I'm just going to pull this custom connector out of it. All right, now we need to add the plugin in. Now, low-code plugins of the instant variety are made up of a few elements. You've got your FX expression, and your custom API, and the custom API will have input and output parameters. Now, this is something really cool that I discovered the other day when I was playing around with this. If I come here and say add existing, and I go and just add my custom API, and let's find, it's called instant currency converter. Here we go. So I'm just going to add this in to my solution. Now look at this. When I add that, I instantly get my custom API, I get my input and output parameters, as well as the FX expression. Now, you'll notice that this has also added in my custom connector and my connection reference. These are all the elements that the plugin's going to require, the dependencies, if you will. But if I try to deploy the solution with all this in it, it's going to throw an error. So I'm going to pull my connection reference out, and I'm going to pull my custom connector out because we don't need that. And let's just do a quick publish. Now, while this is publishing, if I deploy the solution as it is at the moment, I'm still going to get an error in the target environment because of the connection. There's just a known issue with custom connectors in the Power Platform. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you as soon as this is done publishing. Let's go ahead and I'll show you the workaround. So I've got my custom API, my input and output parameters, and my FX expression. So let's come over here to the Dataverse Accelerator app. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to comment out this plugin like this. I'm going to update this. Now what this will do is it will let the import process ignore this connector. So it will get everything across into the target environment. Now let's come back here to my solution. and just do a quick publish one more time. Now, something that may randomly happen, this happened to me yesterday, it doesn't seem to be happening at the moment, is when I commented out my plugin expression, my custom API request um, input and output parameters disappeared from the solution. I had to add them back. Doesn't look like that's happened today, but let's just see. Okay, so we should have everything we need to go. Got the custom API, the whoop, and they disappeared. Yeah, so this is going to happen when you comment out the plugin code, is these input and output parameters will disappear from solution. So all you need to do is just manually add these back. So let's just come here to custom API, and we want the request parameter. So I'm going to come down here. There's actually quite a few to get through. Now I've prefixed all of mine with var, so we actually just search this way. And so I need var base, var target, var amount. Just confirm that. Yep. So let's just add this. That's going to add these back to my solution, and that will automatically add the response back. So when you add, or the output parameter back. So just bear in mind that, yeah, when you do comment out the expression, it will remove your input and output parameters. You can deploy it and just manually add them back, but my preference is to send it all in the solution. So let's just go ahead and do a publish again. And now we should be ready to deploy this. Okay, we're ready to go. So let me go ahead and let's export this. Now I'm using unmanaged solutions. So if you were doing this with a managed solution, there would be other considerations. So you could potentially create an unmanaged solution layer when you go to comment this back in. But for my use case, I'm just using unmanaged solutions as I'm within my developer environment. So some other things to bear in mind if you're trying to do this in a proper ALM setup, although because the Dataverse Accelerator and low-code plugins is still in preview, you probably wouldn't be doing this in anything that's not a personal dev or test environment. But these are things that I'm sure the team will be looking at as this feature gets closer to GA. All right, solution's ready. Let's go ahead and import this. So come here to Nathan Deploy. Let's import this guy. All right. And let's import. Okay, so my solution is importing. I'll come back to you as soon as that's done. All right, so my solution has imported successfully. Let's go ahead and just do a quick publish all. All right, so we've imported, we've published. Let's go ahead and go into the Dataverse Accelerator app here in our deploy environment. Let's go over here to apps and Dataverse Accelerator. And we should see our plugin here under the instant plugins. And here we go, instant currency converter. So let's go ahead and edit this. And you can see we've got our input parameters and our output parameter. Was slightly worried there for a second. So you see everything has come across. So all I need to do now to run this thing is just uncomment the expression. Now, earlier when I told you to ensure that your connection and connection reference names are identical, the reason for that is once I uncomment this, I should be able to just save and go. So I don't need to make any other updates. I don't need to come over here to the connections and um, reference the connection with the name that I've given it in my target environment. So everything is just ready to go. Um, Now, the reason I looked into doing it this way, you could make the argument that why wouldn't you just copy paste or rewrite the plugin? And in the case of one that's really simple like this, you could make a strong argument for that. My thinking is you could have plugins that have much more complex expressions, and so you definitely don't want to be copy pasting and rewriting those. You want to be able to migrate them via solutions where possible. All right, so we're ready to test this. Let's cross our fingers and toes. Let's hope we have given a big enough sacrifice to the demo gods. And again, let's do this in reverse. We'll do US dollars to New Zealand dollars. And again, you can see why I have a massive Amex bill coming. Let's go ahead and run this. All right, now the first time, something I've noticed is the first time I'll get a 0. Let's go ahead and run this again. And so you can see it's called the API, and 100 US dollars is 163 New Zealand dollars, or why Nathan has a huge Amex bill coming. So that is the process. Those are the steps to deploy your low-code plugins with custom connectors between environments. That's the workaround. Now, I would expect that these would be getting some attention, some development effort as it gets closer to GA. I will call out that if you're using any kind of standard connector, you don't need to do this. It will just work when you're deploying it. So anything using Dataverse, MSN Weather, anything that you'd find in the Power Platform, any of those supported connectors, this just works. So we're definitely dealing in edge case territory here. But the beauty of the custom connectors is it does give you unlimited extensibility in terms of low-code plugins and connecting them up to various data sources. So that is that's the demo. That's how you can, that's the exact steps to go through to set up your connection references to a custom connector and then how to deploy it across environments. I hope this was helpful. Reach out to me with any questions or any ideas for things that you'd like me to cover. And thank you so much for watching.